Hello, hello. It is Susan from Sassy C Art Shop. Welcome or welcome back to my channel. If you don't know what I do here, I like to do a little art, creativity, fun, whatever I'm in the mood for. And today I'm in the mood for an art challenge. So let's get to it. All right, guys, as I said, I am doing an art challenge today. And what would I do without a draw this in your style challenge? And I know you're thinking, didn't you do these like a month ago? Yes, I did. And I'm going to do another one. You know why? Because they're fun, because they're easy, because I didn't want to think of an idea, and because I really do just like this challenge. It's my go-to challenge. So if you don't know what it is, it's pretty simple. Artists on Instagram or other social media platforms will draw a character and say, okay, you're free to draw this same character, my original character, in your style. So that's what we're going to be doing today. And this is the one I have selected. So the artist right there is FL.Yoursart. I don't know if that's how she pronounces it or what. Anyway, so this is the character. Let me turn off the light real quick so you can not get that glare. That's nice. There we go. There we go. So I really like this character because I like the sort of medieval dress. I like the sword. I like the fierceness of the expression. The jewelry's fun. So yeah. And I definitely like the color scheme. So I like those like icy blue-gray eyes, the brown hair, the gold jewelry, the red dress. It kind of looks like velvet texture. So yeah, I'm excited. So let me sketch and I'll get back to you. Alrighty, guys. So I have just finished the sketch and you guys are going to see it in 3, 2, 1. Ta-da! Here's how she turned out. So I'll walk you through a little bit of my thought process. So there she is right next to the one I originally did. Now they did say we could, change the pose and the outfit a little bit, just keep her recognizable. So I liked the 3/4 pose that the original had, but I thought it would be more fun if she was this way instead of that way. I just felt like it flowed better. Her hair is quite limp in the original. I gave it a little more flow, a little more volume, just because I like drawing hair like that. The dress, I love the big, long, embellished sleeves that this one has. And I did like the square sort of neckline, but I felt like it needed something, so I'm going to actually add a little bit of a gold border right here, just because I'm a little bit extra. I also added, she has like a simple little gold belt. I made it a gold chain, and it kind of has like a pendant hanging off of it. And then I'm going to add the gold border that I'm going to add to the neckline to the sleeves, like just around the edge, just because I think that's a little fun. Yeah, so that's pretty much all the changes that I made. I like how the sword turned out. I did make it a little more elaborate, and this one kind of has like a sunburst look, and I tried to copy that, but also sort of drew like the sword shape first and kind of added these pieces, so I don't know if it'll work out. But yeah, I think the sketch turned out pretty good, so let's get into the line work. So as you can see, I am starting the line work here. I am using my Prismacolor colored pencils for this. I've been doing this a lot lately. I just really like the soft look it adds. So I noticed that the jewelry, some of it was very bright gold, so I used like a yellow for that. And for any other place that was gold, I used a brown, so it would show up against the yellows when I layer that with my color, or with my markers rather. And yeah, so the dress, I just did like, a dark purple because it's a red dress and I wanted the lines to show up. And then I used like a darker blue for the eyes because it's sort of an icy blue, so I wanted it to show up well. Yeah, nothing too special about any of this. And then I just used like a very dark brown for the hair in just a second. I think it was like the espresso color, so it's very, very dark. Yeah, and I left the eyes for now because I'm going to do those in a minute because I hate when it smears with the line work with my markers, and that tends to do it with the eyes. So yeah, I'm just finishing up here. Be done in just a minute. Sorry my head keeps getting in the frame, but I needed to see, and sometimes you got to get up close to do that, so I apologize. You can see my head. All right, so as you guys can see, I have just finished the line work for this piece. Like I said, I did it with my colored pencils. I think it turned out well. I may bolden certain lines, but I'm going to start the coloring and see if I need to do that. So let's get into the coloring, which is the fun part. Do, 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 do. All right, guys, so here I am starting the coloring process, which to me is one of the most fun parts of the process. So I am using my Ohuhu alcohol markers 320 set for this. This is what I normally use. I'm not sponsored by them. I just really like the colors. I like how they blend and everything like that. So I did pick out my colors before I started coloring. So in the original drawing, she had kind of a pale but slightly tanned skin tone. So I tried to incorporate that with the coloring of the skin here, as you can see me doing. And I did add some purple in the deepest shadows. I've been doing that lately. I think it adds a lot of depth and everything. Here I'm just doing the hands. I'm using the same thing I did. So I go in with my darkest color and then bring in my mid-tone and then my lightest shade and just color over all of it. So here I'm just doing a little bit of blush because I felt like she needed a little bit, and just like a few details with a white colored pencil just to lighten it up. And then I go in and really make the eyes pop with a dark colored pencil. I didn't use straight up black. I used like a very dark gray. Yeah, and I just finish up the face. So here I just do the light gold. I just used like the lightest yellow that I have, and I went in with a white gel pen and added a few highlights. Yeah, so here I am working on the hair, and it is brown hair. So I picked 3 different shades of brown, and I went in with my darkest place and put where I thought the shadow should be. And then, yeah, I'm just coloring all of that in smooth strokes in the direction of the hair so that it kind of flows that way. And then I'm going in with my mid-tone and I'm just covering over the same areas that I did and extending it some. I really like the flow of the hair. I think like it adds a lot of movement, and honestly, hair is one of my favorite things to do. And then I just go in with my lightest color and add the highlights. And finally, to make sure it's all smooth and everything, I go over a couple of spots again with the darkest marker to add back in those deep, deep shadows. And I go in with a white gel pen in just a second, as you can see here, just adding the brightest, brightest highlights. So sometimes I do this, sometimes I do all the highlights with markers or colored pencils, but I just felt like she needed a little something. So here I am coloring the sword, and honestly, like gold is one of my absolute favorite things to render. I just think it's so fun. I don't know if I get it like actually correct as far as where the light would hit and stuff, but basically I pick a whole bunch of different yellows and browns and then just layer them up, layer them up, layer them up. And it's really fun because the effect is so gorgeous. And then I go in with a white gel pen and add some highlights. I do go back in at the end and add a little bit of white paint pens for the brightest, brightest highlights, just because I felt like the um, uh, fine liner just didn't cut it. It kind of sunk into it a little bit. But yeah, I love how this sword turned out. I think it's really, really cool. And here, as you can see, I am doing the gold for the top of the dress and the sleeves. And like I said, this was not in the original drawing, but I really felt like it just needed something. And adding extra gold, is there really anything ever wrong with that? Again, just layering those yellows and browns. I really, really like this effect. Like I said, gold's like one of my favorite things to draw. And then I go in with my colored pencil and just add some like little details and stuff, so it looks like it has a pattern within the gold. And here I am working on the dress. So the original dress, it definitely gave like velvet vibes. So that's what I tried to imitate. So I went in with like my darkest red, and I just placed where I thought the deepest shadows should be and things like that. When I finished coloring it, mine is a little more bright red than theirs. Theirs is a more muted red, but I'm still really, really happy with how this turned out with the folds and everything like that. So yeah, like I said, I layered the darkest reds and then went in with progressively each shade lighter red, and the brightest highlights are the bright red. And I go back in with a colored pencil, a black and a white, black for the deepest shadows and white for the brightest highlights. And I just think overall this makes it look really velvety and rich, and I absolutely love how this dress turned out. I want to draw like more velvet medieval dresses now. Like, what do you guys think? Do you want to see more of that type of content? Let me know, because I think it's super fun to do. And like I said, I really, really like how this turned out. I like the texture, I like the folds, everything. And here I'm just doing a quick background. The original had a dark red, but I felt like that would clash too much with the dress. So I wanted like a moody, dark blue. This is like a super, super deep navy. And then around the corners, I just added a bit of purple to help it out. And I went in with a blue-gray paint pen just to outline her to make her stand out. Alrighty, guys, so here is the original character that I was drawing. And are you ready to see mine? Let's see it in 3, 2, 1. Ta-da! What do you guys think? Did I do a good job representing the character? As I said, I did add like the gold border around the top of her dress and around the sleeves. I just really like that. I changed her pose a little bit, and I added some jewels to the sword and like this hanging belt that I gave her just because I really, really liked it. I do think like the color scheme is pretty good. She has more a darker red, but I blended a few different reds to make a sort of velvet look, which I really like. And she does have like a red background, but I thought that would clash too much with the dress, so I went with a dark blue-gray background. And then I outlined her in a light bluish-gray paint pen. I just felt like it made the character stand out really well. Let me do a little bit of a close-up. I'm not super happy with how her face turned out. Like, something about it is just off, and I don't know what it is. I think maybe her mouth is like a little too small, but at this point, it's like I'm not changing it. I really like the sword. I really like the dress. I like the flow of the hair. Overall, I really like this piece. What do you guys think of it? Let me know in the comments. Alrighty, guys, so that is it for me. This is what I created today from the Draw This in Your Style challenge. I really like how it turned out, especially the dress and the sword and the hair. Like I said, the face was a little bit of a disappointment, but overall I'm still pretty happy with it. So you win some, you lose some. That's how art goes. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe if you like this kind of content. And until next time, I'll see y'all then. Bye!